see, there's no legal representation. For you. Yeah, for the
Recording.
they represent. So you have to be.
Okay. Let's call the meeting to order. Start with introductions. I'm Dr. Casey Cole, I'm the chairperson of the committee. I represent Equine. I'll let Liam introduce himself next.
You sure don't want to save me for last? Liam Hughes, Director of Animal Welfare Program for the State of Maine's Department of Agriculture and Conservation.
I'm Garth Russell. I'm the Animal Control Officer. I represent Animal Control.
When you first started, 1976.
Excuse me, I'm Kim McGlaughlin. I'm the town clerk of Old Orchard Beach, and I represent the town clerks.
Katie Lisnick, Executive Director at Greater Androscoggin Humane Society, representing licensed animal shelters.
My first job was 1971, and I made it almost 50. And
Bonnie Martin Knowledge. I'm an attorney with Freddie and I am an attorney with Knowledge Animal Welfare.
it was a clothing store, and it turned out they paid the janitors 25 cents more an hour.
Hey, Darlene, you have a super sensitive mic. So, perfect. But you might want to introduce yourself. You're muted now. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Darlene Farr, representing Municipal Kennels.
Who hasn't introduced themselves?
Jessica.
I'm Dr. Jessica Matulis. I'm representing the veterinarians.
Okay. First order of business. Let's get an animal welfare program update from Director Hughes.
All right. Last person I think we need to introduce, though, is Reggie Manter, who is basically our producer for this meeting, handling all the board and everything that's going on in the background, making it a lot more possible for us to do this. So thanks, Reggie. Animal welfare updates. Last Monday, I resigned my position here at Animal Welfare for various reasons, mostly dealing with my health and stress. I didn't realize how bad it was going. And then I tried giving blood and they said my blood pressure was so high, they could not take my blood, and started talking to my doctors and getting things worked out. And I have been going to getting professional help for like the past year, dealing with PTSD and other stress related issues. And this is a very incredibly difficult job. And one of my doctors says that it's killing me, literally. So, so I need to take a step back and away from this line of work and everything for a little while, reset myself and try to get my health back into where it is. Cause I only sleep a couple hours a night. You know, I eat the most horrible food in the world. So, I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another. And most of today I've been working on a couple of the seizures that we've had over the past week, moving animals around. We have a situation right now that might be on the news tonight that we're helping with up in Presque Isle, of a herd of buffalo running around downtown Presque Isle. So there's going to be no good outcome for that. So before I go any further, I just want to say thank you to everyone here. There are many of you guys that are guests on this call that have been on AWAC before, but it's been an absolute pleasure working with all of you, and you've really helped give me a lot of great opportunities to make some really positive changes. And going forward, I really encourage you all to keep working together and keep talking things out, and finding common ground to get to some of these solutions for the animals and the people of the state of Maine. So Sharon was able to jump on. So Sharon, if you want to do your introduction real quick before I continue.
Sharon St. John, licensed breeders.
Thank you. So over the past couple weeks, though, I mean, this has been a winter like no other for animal welfare because we have been just going full bore out. Normally in the wintertime, we can take a step back, do trainings, fill out, catch up on reports. It has been nonstop all winter long, and we don't know what the cause of it is, but we are trying to maintain and get out there and try to respond to a lot of complaints. Uh, Over the past few days, I mean, just this past Monday, we seized 14 cows and 4 chickens in the custody at a very dilapidated farm. And we've seized a number of dogs, cats, goats, and horses and cows over the past 2 weeks. So this has been one of the busiest times that I can remember. Um, the O'Connell cats that we seized last month, we finally have a court date for that, for all 111 of those cats that were taken into custody, and the 20 or so birds. There's a hearing for possession on April 13th. So hopefully there'll be news on that front. The agents and Dr. Fisk have been working really hard, putting together that case. So we still have 2 vacancies in the program that we are working to fill. I'm currently participating with several of the agents in the interview panel for the mid-coast position right now. Most likely, though, I'll be gone before the interviews start for the York Cumberland agent that's still vacant. So, we have a really good response from for candidates. So we've had a pretty good pool to choose from. Reggie, do you see that last alert about the lobby?
I see Maine Animal Control Association trying to get in.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, it keeps popping up on my computer. I don't know if you guys hear the alerts or see the alerts or not. So, all right. A couple other things that are going on. Right now, we're taking a good close look at our animal welfare funding. It's a little low right now, but we are still waiting for funding to come in from a lot of the feed registration, and we are just getting the final dog licensing funds in. So there's a couple things that we're waiting on to happen, but it's a little low right now. Hopefully, within the next couple weeks, we'll be able to get that squared away. Help Fix Me. Since January 1st to basically today, we've paid over 145, almost $146,000 in vouchers that we paid out. We've issued over $327,000 in vouchers. And we only, right now, we're waiting for these to be returned for payment, is about $272,000 worth of vouchers. We currently have about $329,000 in the account. Since January 1st, over 1,800 vouchers have been given out to a lot of the clinics that are doing the spay neuter work, and over 1,200 applications have been sent out to just citizens that have requested applications. We've had a really great successful run working directly with the clinics, but because the amount of money that we have to pay is getting to the point where matching to what we actually have in cash, we're going to be kind of taking a look to see if we can keep maintaining that level of putting these vouchers out there. And just like the animal welfare account, there's still funding that we're waiting to have come in from the pet food surcharge, tax checkoff, and license plates that haven't come in. For the fiscal year. I think we're only probably about 1/3 of the funding that we're expecting for that. So as that gets worked out and figured out, funding for that should come in and help cover any of the vouchers that we have out. But we are trying to pay attention to what's currently out there and what we're going to have to pay, because we don't want to wake up one day like we did in 2018 and find out we're out of money. We can't pay for these vouchers. So we're being very careful about that, monitoring that. So that's all I really have now for an animal welfare update. Sorry, but my resignation is taking up a lot of time as we're trying to figure out transition plans. For the past 10 years I've been here, I kind of developed a way of doing things that just became instinctual. So it's kind of hard to quantify that in a document. So whoever's going to be filling in or taking over, or whoever's going to fill this chair after I'm gone, will at least have an idea of some of the stuff that has been done and what needs to be done, especially what needs to be done that's listed within our law book that we have to accomplish every year. No, and the rest, I have a couple updates on some of the old business with the legislation, if you want me to continue on to that.
Yeah, you can. I first wanted to say thank you for your service over the past 10 years. You've done an amazing job. You'll be missed. It's going to be a hard shoes to fill, Liam.
And it's overwhelming the amount of support I've gotten from all of you. It was not an easy decision to make because I know there's still a lot more work that needs to be done here. And there's so much more potential for good work, but I'm just too burnt out to do it. So
yeah, you get yourself.
Yeah. So on to some of the old business, LD 1828, which is the Help Fix Me bill. Apparently there was an amendment to that bill that made it so, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to bring it up now, that AWAC will be part of the rulemaking process to change the rules or how it's going to be contracted out. So AWAC is back in the game when it comes to Help Fix Me. It did go through saying that it will be contracted out if there is an appropriate entity out there that could manage and accept it. Hold on, I'm getting that amendment now, and I'll read it to you. I sent this to you last night. So the bill requires the Commissioner of Agriculture to contract for the administration of the Animal Welfare Sterilization Fund, but requires the department to administer the fund if a suitable third party cannot be found. The amendment requires the Commissioner, in consultation with the Animal Welfare Advisory Council, to issue a request for a proposal no later than August 1st, 2022. The amendment requires that the initial contract be for 36 months. The amendment requires the department to conduct an evaluation of the initial 36-month contract and submit a report to the Joint Standing Committee no later than January 1st, 2026. So the Joint Standing Committee is required to submit a bill to the second regular session of the 132nd legislature relating to the subject of the matter of the report. The amendment also adds the appropriations section. So basically, the money that we use to pay for Danny to administer the fund, and well, if it's contracted out, we're going to lose money to pay for her position. So the animal welfare program is going to have to take over some of that funding. So it passed the House and Senate on March 9th, and from what I understand, it will probably be headed up to the governor's office for signature. So I don't know when that will be, but hopefully, within the next month or two, you should know more about that. Katie, did you have anything?
So, yeah, sorry. In the interim, and I know we have you a little longer, but August comes quickly. Do you all know yet who's the point person that's going to be working on this? Who's going to be engaging with AWAC, kind of in future meetings? Who are we going to be talking with and sharing thoughts with on this process?
Not 100% sure, but for the interim, most likely it's going to be Ann Gibbs, who just logged in. So You're probably going to be talking with her. I believe she sent an email with her contact information for you. That might change in the future, but for starting right now, probably you'll be working with Ann. So Ann?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I had a few things to say. I was just letting Liam do his thing, but yeah, I wanted to chat with you all. It will be me. But I also too want to recognize Liam for all his service. He truly was devoted to the animals in the state, and as he's mentioned, all kinds of animals. And today we talked about buffalo running around up in northern Maine, which it's never a dull moment in terms of that. but he's done some, made some really good changes too to the program that people maybe don't always realize. The ACO training has been much more accessible to municipalities, and I know you all are trying to figure out how to strengthen that going forward. But I think he's made a good effort in improving that over the years, and obviously organizing and staffing some of these huge seizures that we've had. Those are extremely difficult, time intensive, staff intensive, funding intensive. And I don't know, in particular with the Solon seizure, I don't know if you know that Liam was around the clock security at our shelter for the duration of the, so he's very devoted to his job and making sure things are done properly. And I think also the other aspect is working with the sheltering community and trying to coordinate housing for our seized animals. That's getting more and more difficult, as Liam and I have discussed and tried to come up with, new ideas going forward. But he's certainly developed a really great cadre of folks and partners and so forth. So that will be hard act to follow. But as he mentioned, and I would like to echo, that the job is very, very high stressful. It's a very high profile job. The public are very interested and very passionate about animal welfare issues. And a lot of that falls onto Liam to respond to. People don't always like his responses. People aren't always happy. And that takes a toll. I've witnessed a lot of it. It's not fun. It's not fair. He has a job to do, and people often don't like to hear what we have to work within the law. And I just want to commend him for what he's had to deal with. It's been particularly difficult recently too, I would say. And he's always been a huge advocate for you all on AWAC. I will say that you probably wouldn't be sitting here if Liam hadn't prodded and pushed and been relentless with the governor's office to make sure that AWAC was reappointed. It was quite, he has been relentlessly pushing them for many years just to make sure that that you all were sitting here. So he gets a lot of credit for making sure that happened. So thanks for that. But obviously there will be change starting in April. I will be the contact person. So if you have any questions or concerns, we will be working to fill the director position. This is an opportunity. The job description, if you will, for that position hasn't been updated for prior to even Liam being here. So this is an opportunity for us to look at it and make it a little more current and so on. So that will take a little bit of time. And for those of you who are not familiar with hiring in state government, it is not quick. So I will not promise that we will have anybody in place in a couple of weeks. It will be much more like months. So I just want to be upfront with you all. But we will be here to help with you, myself and the Bureau Director, Nancy McBrady, and everybody else here is working hard. The staff are being very great. Liam's being great at all the things that he said he keeps in his brain. He and I have been chatting, and he's been reminding me of this, that, and the other things. So we will continue to try to extract all that information he has so that we will have it. So just wanted to let you know that we will be continuing to work and try to fill this position. And I'll be your contact if you have any questions or concerns. Please feel free to reach out to me. So thanks. So I don't know if anybody has any particular questions, but I'm happy to answer them, and I'll be around for the call. So.
My specific question is just related to the RFP process for the Help Fix Me program. How do you anticipate rolling that out or garnering our feedback? Do you have an idea around that yet?
No, not yet, to be honest with you, but yeah. And I actually haven't seen the amendment yet. We'll have to wait to see when it, when it's passed. But actually, I'm really glad that you're part of this. I mean, that's part of the amendment. I think that will be very valuable. But we'll reach out and figure out. We have to have something started by August, so we've got a little bit of time. So it might be appropriate, Katie, to maybe spend one of the meetings discussing the process or something, that might be an opportunity for an AWAC meeting or something. So that's enough. But yeah, thanks.
One of the good things I think with this new amendment that's giving AWAC a chance to kind of get back in there, the current system for the Help Fix Me program is incredibly out of date. So, this is going to give AWAC the ability to modernize it, because back when it was originally created, that was a good idea at the time. That's what worked at the time. Things have changed dramatically since then. So this is why it's going to be super important that AWAC kind of talk about the different things that could possibly be done to make it a functioning program that's going to be more modern and more flexible for whoever gets the contract, and try to make it so it works really well. Abigail's on the call today, and we are already talking today about the MASH style clinics that she does and kind of the partnerships that we're planning on doing, but a lot of it's dependent on our income and how much money that we have in our account. So there's a lot of stuff that can be done. I think no matter what happens with the contractor, whoever gets it, that, those types of partnerships kind of still need to flow with whatever organizations. The key thing about if we're going to be contracting this program out, one of the big things that the agents and animal control officers, they had front of the line when it came to finding hoarding houses that needed spay neuter assistance. So we would probably want to work with, or have you work with the contracting process or something, to put something in there. So if there is a potential hoarding situation that could be resolved with spay neuter vouchers, that the animal control officers and humane agents still have that option, because that's one of the main things that's been able to prevent us from filling up the shelters with all these seized animals, because we have that option, and it made it a lot easier, so we don't have to go out and keep seizing and a whole bunch of cats if we can work with the people and get them spayed neutered and slowly bring down the pressure of that environment. So any more questions on that? I would probably recommend you most likely will have to have a meeting next month. So, and like I said, continue that discussion, because August will come a lot faster than most people will realize. So, LD 1744, I have no news on that, which is the act to increase funding for animal welfare by increasing certain fees. It was basically, there's a majority saying that should go on as written into the appropriations committee, where, again, we don't know if they've even seen it yet or not, but the report has not been reported out yet. So therefore there's nothing online, and the analyst I spoke to the other day has no new information. There was a minority report of basically the second option of locking the rates into 40% going to general fund, 60% going to animal welfare, and increasing the fee $20 for feed registration. That was a minority report. Don't know what's going to happen, because again, those were the two things that were put out, and we're just waiting for any type of news about where it is, if it made it through appropriations. Is it lost on the table? What? So I know Emily and Ann and Nancy are going to be poking around trying to find out what happens, but everybody's eagerly waiting for information on that, because that's going to make a huge difference going forward for our funding and hiring 2 new agents on top of it. So LD 2002, which popped up all of a sudden, it was removing boards and commissions that were not active. Because there was that gap where we did not meet for almost 2 years, there were no reports. So we automatically got put on a list to have it removed. Thankfully, 8 of you put in testimony, and a few other people outside put in testimony that AWAC exists and still is functioning. So we made it, it was amended, we were taken off the list. AWAC still functions as normal. So yeah, thank you everybody to put in testimony for that. Really appreciate it. And that's all I have for old business. And Casey, you brought up some new business with LD 482, which I did a little research on.
Bonnie raised her hand.
Liam, before we move on to the new one, just had a question about the legislation that the Animal Welfare Department put in regarding some cleanup of the laws. I don't have the LD off the top of my head. There were some comments about the horse piece of that, and it was in this past session.
The only two bills that we put forward was the act to increase, the only bill that we put forward was the act to increase funding for animal welfare. Are you talking about the rule changes that went through last
Maybe
year?
two. I'll go back and look before I take everybody's time, and if I can find it before we leave, I'll raise it again.
Right. If you're talking about the rule changes about the facility licenses where we added in capacity to care and making sure the animals that are residents at certain facilities, where they're not being adopted or sold, that they get medical care. There was an improvement to the horse sheltering section for those rules. That went through and was put into effect on January 24th. I may have reported that the last meeting. So those have already gone into effect, and this is the year that the agents are taking time to educate during the inspections about the rule changes.
I think Liam froze.
Liam, you froze.
I didn't know if it was just me.
No, but Bonnie, I would also suggest that maybe the changes that we made last session, as you know, it's a two-year session for the legislature, so that may be what you're referring to too. So we can, and that all did go through, if I recall. It may be the rules that Liam's talking about.
Thank you. I think it is the rules that Liam is still frozen was talking about. Thank you.
Sure.
I know the next thing Liam was going to talk about is a bill proposing rulemaking for pet insurance. I don't have the LD number in front of me right now, and I don't know if there's, last I knew there wasn't exact language out yet. So I was interested if Liam found it.
Okay, I think he's going off and coming back on, and I can also run down. I'm in the office too, so I can
Okay.
see if he can.
But the bill was basically just to make rules around pet insurance because there's so many pet insurance companies popping up now. I just wanted AWOC to know that that was going through. I didn't know if anyone had any interest in it, but I thought it would be an update that people would find valuable.
Yeah.
We can.
What was the gist of it? Do you remember? I haven't heard anything about this at all.
The gist of it was just to make a standardized rule set for pet insurance companies to follow. Because there really isn't one in the state right now.
Okay.
Last I knew, as of last week, I don't think we had a language on it.
Okay. Katie has her hand up. She probably would. She follows that fairly quickly.
I'll look up while you're all talking and see if I can find something.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm back. I had a glitch.
Oh, sure. Hi, I can provide a brief update about the pet insurance bill. So there is some draft language, and I can share that with folks. Basically, I can't remember the name of the entity, but it's like a national board of insurance type entity. Again, it's the name is escaping me, but they came up with model language that was almost finalized for state legislatures to use to help regulate the pet industry. So the bill that was put in, and I can try and I probably have the LD number here. I just got to get into the right folder. But the
482.
That sounds right. Because it basically came out last year, and they carried it over, and they didn't have the public hearing until this year because they were waiting on that model language from that national insurance entity to kind of be completed. So the public hearing was held, and but I don't off the top of my head have the update, but I could pull it. But that's basically what it was. They wanted there to be some sort of regulation for pet insurance as it is a growing industry. And let's see. So it was voted out of committee unanimously, ought to pass as amended. And the amendment would be, and I can share, Liam, I can get to you the amendment language.
Please, I couldn't
Or that-
find anything.
Yeah, so they voted it unanimously out of committee, ought to pass as amended, which I believe would be the amendment language, which is the model language on March 2nd, but it's not reported out of committee yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sorry about the glitch. It kicked me off for a few minutes as it reset, but Katie pretty much covered everything. I couldn't find anything on it except for it's a concept bill. But thank you, Katie, and I'll as soon as I get that, I'll send it out to the rest of AWAC and make sure we can all take a look at it.
Okay. Next order of business is the rules for subcommittees. Do we have a quorum at this point?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe we have 8. So KT and Julie are here as well too. So yes, we should have a quorum.
So after we formed our subcommittees last time, Liam and I were talking and realized that there are no rules for subcommittees. So I just want to make a baseline for us to agree on. So I doubt we're going to have an argument about these subcommittees, but if there's subcommittees in the future, we can just have these rules to fall back on. Did everyone get the email I sent out with the rules?
I don't think I did.
Okay. Oh, and Kim McLaughlin raised her hand too.
I just had a question. So for some of these, it's going to be a travel for me to get up there. Is this going to allow us to do some by Zoom or allow certain participants to be able to go by Zoom? I mean, or meet Microsoft Teams or whatever.
You could still,
Yeah.
the original rules that we did back in November for the meetings, that all that still applies. This is just basically the mundane, who's doing what in the committees. So I'm going to resend what.
I do have it. Sorry, it for some reason got stuck in another folder.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No. Do we have any comments on the rules?
I seem pretty straightforward. I didn't have
Yeah.
any. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion to pass?
Do I have a second?
I believe Sharon's seconding, but she's muted.
Okay. Any more discussion?
I seconded.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the rules? Okay, all in favor of passing the rules?
Favor.
All opposed? Motion passes. Great. Okay, if we don't have any other concerns, we'll move on to public comment. Katie Hansberry raised her hand.
Thanks, Casey. I just want to first start by echoing everyone's thanks to Liam for all of his work over the last 10 years that he's been in this very difficult role. And I just wanted to also say thank you to him, and it's been great working with you, and wishing you all the best in your future endeavors. And I know many of us will continue to be in touch with you and know where you're headed. So I just wanted to say a quick thanks. And then I just had 2 other things about legislation. The first is about LD 1744. So that's the one about the animal welfare funding. So one thought that I had after speaking to some of the committee members, so there is, hope among many of the committee members that they could get the $500,000 for the majority report. But as Leah mentioned, that of course requires it to get through the Appropriations Committee. So I still need to have some conversations, but one thing that I was trying to work on and see if there could be a plan put in place that if the majority report is the one that ends up moving through, and it does end up on the appropriations table, and as discussions are happening about which bills are and are not going to get funding, if it really looks like that bill is not going to receive the funding, if we can have in place some sort of a backup plan where we can pull it off the table and then run the minority report through the House and Senate, which would require, I think that we could get, support in both the Senate and the House, a majority vote. Some people have concerns about that because it does raise, the fee, and people don't like raising fees and all of that. But there's a very strong argument to be made for the need for this fee, and also that it hasn't been raised in a very long time. So I'm hoping, things move very quickly towards the end of the session. Statutory adjournment is April 20th. It can't go longer than that. So I'm just going to see if I can talk to some folks and see if, and also I just wanted to hear folks' feedback on that. Of course, it'd be great to get more money, but if it doesn't look like that's going to happen, I'm hoping that maybe we can have a plan put in place so that we can pull it off the appropriations table and move forward with the
energy, the
250.
site, the skill set.
So I don't know if anyone had, and then just the other thing, I think Julianne ended up hopping on the call, so she'd actually be a better person to speak to this bill because she has been kind of the driving force behind it. But I just wanted to make sure folks were aware about LD 1348, which started as a bill to decrease or lower the decibel limit of consumer fireworks due to the impact on farm animals. And that went to a stakeholder group, and some really wonderful discussions were had, came back to the committee again, and it has now been voted unanimously out of committee. And I think it moved through the House last week as well, and the Senate, to again create another stakeholder group, but this is a much more robust version. And it is broader in scope. It's being done through the fire marshal's office, that they're going to be running it. And it lists out a number of stakeholders to be involved in the discussions to study the impacts of consumer fireworks on animals. So they'll be doing work to put together that stakeholder group. Some of the entities on that list include a statewide animal welfare organization, a statewide or state equine protection organization, a veterinarian. So it's broader in scope now than just farm animals and looking at that important issue. So I just wanted to make sure that that was on folks' radar. And as I said, Julianne Smith and the Farm Bureau worked very closely with Senator Searway on this issue, and they are big thanks to them for all of their work on this.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie, and it has been an absolute pleasure working with you. You've been working very hard to build bridges among the community, and your work has been really important for everybody here. So thank you for your help and the kind words you said.
Any more public comment?
Can I ask, I'm sorry, I have one more question. For Ian, just specific open cases. Dr. Fisk, can you just talk a little bit about kind of what her role is as like for the shelters that are currently housing animals of active cases? Should we be reaching out directly to you with questions? How is she in the mix on this going forward?
Yeah, I think she's still in the mix, but these are great questions, Katie, and probably what we'll do is talk together and find, and I need to still, learn a little bit about process from the field folks. So yeah, but Dr. Fisk is still a part of the mix, and if that's the person who you've been working with, then I would suggest that that will continue. We don't have plans to make changes, except that Liam won't be there. So anything that you were discussing with Liam should come to me. But if you've got a system in place, yes, please continue with that. Yeah,
Okay.
there's no plans to make huge changes in terms of that.
Yeah, and Katie, you have a really good working relationship with Angela and the other agents. So, you know, the agents have control over their cases, and that, you know, I've been helping with logistics, mostly making sure that we find places for them to go. So the billing and everything is still going to be the same. The big difference is I won't be signing the invoices anymore. That's going to be Ann. So the medical things still keep working with Dr. Fisk on anything medical needs for the animals. So, you know, like I said, or like Ann said, you know, the big difference is I won't be here after April 8th. So.
But also, Katie, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to chat if you've got certain things that you think, you know, need to be addressed or dealt with. Please, yeah, I'm happy to chat.
Excellent. Wonderful. And, you know, certainly, you know, we love working with Angela and Dr. Fisk and, you know, everyone on the team. There were some of the other shelters that perhaps don't have animals as frequently for the state. And I just want to make sure that they're all informed and they know exactly how to stay in touch.
So maybe a conversation would be good with you at some point, and we'll just figure out how to best get information out to that. That's also would be helpful. So thank you.
And we have a pretty good idea where all the critters we currently have in custody are. Thankfully, as the pandemic started to clear up, we were able to get a lot of animals out of custody because the courts started working again. So, and now most of the DAs and the courts are using the 30 days from the time of filing for the possession hearing, and they're really trying to stick to that now. So, and didn't Angela just bring you a dog last week?
She may have.
Okay.
I don't know. I might have been left out of the loop on that one.
So yeah, we
staff members, they're running with.
Like I said at the beginning of the meeting, this has been a particularly busy winter for us. So, and we're trying to make sure we're maintaining a good list of where everything is, because that's all evidence. So.
Okay, any more comments? Great. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Did you want to set the date for the next meeting?
Oh, yes, I always forget that. Sorry. And someone raised their hand too, just as I said that. Sarah Hyde.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so first of all, thank you everyone for what you do. I wanted to, sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts while I'm watching my child. So I had heard about an issue that's been brought to your attention, but I'm not sure it's been brought to your attention in the right way. So I wanted to see if there's anything that I could do. It's in regards to Varney Labs. There's been reports of abuse, inbreeding, of a licensed vet operating unethically, terrible sanitation, like I said, physical abuse. And I was just wondering if there's anything in the works for that, or if there's anything I can do, or if there's anything that I can pass along to expedite, or anything, just anything in general that I could do or pass along to someone else.
I can answer that, Sarah. It's currently an open investigation. In fact, I believe there is an agent standing there right now. So working on some of the issues when it comes to the disease protocols and the requirements and the laws and the rules for their operations. There are, when you talk about ethically, those are not things that we manage about how certain things are done within a kennel, so long as they are providing the appropriate food, water, medical attention, that they have an appropriate shelter for the animals. That's kind of where the animal welfare agents are looking at the stuff. We can give suggestions and offer them education on stuff, but they are addressing some of the issues when it comes to the disease outbreaks. And if there are people that have witnessed any abuse or anything inappropriate, we really do need them to come forward and make a statement. We try to make sure they know that all information provided to us is anonymous, and only if the case goes in front of a court for a criminal hearing will their information be released. Then that's up to the DA or the judge. Otherwise, all that information is kept confidential and protected by law.
Okay, so anyone who's witnessed anything should come forward. How do they go about doing so? Is there a phone number they call, an email address they should have?
Well, it's basically email animal.welfare@maine.gov or call the 287-3846 number. They don't have to do special scrambled phone numbers or anything. Like I said, all that information is kept confidential. The only person that will probably reach out to them will be the humane agent that's investigating it, and they'll have to collect statements from them about what they saw, when they saw it, and what, maybe some other things, other details that they might have. The biggest problem we have is so many times that people see things on social media that they don't quite understand, or they heard it from a friend or heard it from a friend. So we need to have that firsthand knowledge if we are going to try to put together a potential court case on anybody. So having that firsthand information will definitely help.
Okay, yeah, that's what I assumed. That's why I figured it was something I might have to pass along to other people, so that whoever has witnessed, they can come forward and know who to call, where to go. So I got the phone number 287-3846. What did you say that the email was? You cut out.
animal.welfare@maine.gov. And if you just Google our animal welfare program Maine, you'll see as you scroll down towards the bottom, there's a whole section that you can just click on the email address and it'll go into your email and you can type in whatever you need to for the details. We have a couple people that check that email box. As I said earlier, it has been extremely busy for us, so we're trying to cover as many things as we can. Our inspections are going to fall off a little bit unless we get complaints like this, because we're dealing with so many cruelty cases right now.
Right, I understand. So you said anyone who's witnessed it. What about anyone who's purchased an animal that developed a disease immediately, etc.?
Same thing.
Okay,
Same
idea. Okay.
Because it's, there is a whole section of the animal welfare laws for the buyer's rights and protections, and also the seller's rights and protections, and what has to happen when you sell an animal within the state of Maine, what's required. So there's different remedies. Some of that is mostly a civil issue between the purchaser and the seller in some cases, but if they are not doing what they need to do, we can kind of get involved and try to, make sure that they understand what their role is. In some cases, it might be best for some people to maybe engage with legal counsel of their own, depending on the situation, because it could be a civil matter between the two parties.
Okay.
The best thing I tell everybody, if you adopt an animal, buy an animal, make sure you have a relationship with a veterinarian and get the animal to puppy checked out immediately and build a relationship with that veterinarian. So that way, if there are any medical records or problems or issues, there's documentation of it, and that's going to work in your favor when it comes to any potential civil issues or any type of investigation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. That was very helpful.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Katie, you have your hands up?
Sorry, I'm full of questions today. The two subcommittees that we have starting, I was just curious as to what's the next step with those groups getting meetings scheduled? Do we have the rules that we just passed, or the guidelines, are great, but I just was curious what the next steps are for those two.
Next step will be schedule the meetings. Sorry, Liam. I'll appoint the chairs of the two committees, and then we'll schedule the meetings.
Perfect. Thank you.
I plan on just emailing Liam that immediately after this call.
And most likely you'll be getting emails from Reggie with the meeting dates and times. It's going to be pretty much just like this. So we'll probably get that squared away by the end of the week. And I already have kind of an outline of dog licensing as it stands now, and a couple of the bullet points of what we are considering or suggesting for you guys to talk about and try to figure out. So I know Kim, Garth, you guys are going to be the big ones on this one because it's you guys that are doing the majority of the work. So all those things that you kind of scratch your head and go, wonder why they do it this way. Well, 20 years from now, somebody else will be saying about what you did on this one. So
Hopefully I'll be long retired by then and they won't be able to find me.
and going forward, I'm going to try to be there for the subcommittee meetings to make sure any information's there. And Casey's going to have my personal contact information because if there's any other information that you might need, or because I have a lot of historical knowledge, in my head, he can reach out, contact me, invite me over.
Okay, do we have any more comments or concerns? Okay, let's schedule the next meeting. I agree. I think we should do it next month. Just with the animal, the Help Fix Me program coming up. I'm looking at the next month, the 3rd Wednesday would be April 20th. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, that works for me. That's fine.
Okay.
That works for me. This is Kim.
Yes.
Okay. 1 o'clock again?
Yep. Are we still doing, we're doing virtual like still, correct?
I was planning on it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. April 20th at 1 o'clock it is. Okay. As long as there's no other concerns, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Earth?
I'll second it.
Second. All in favor? So moved. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, and please keep up the good work.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.